Welcome back to the deep dive. We are circling a very specific date on the calendar today.
Mm.
And to be honest, the energy around it is, well, it's a lot. If you're listening to this in real time, get ready for Sunday, February 1st, 2026.
It is a significant date. I mean, we usually look at these broader trends, but the celestial mechanics converging on this single 24-hour window are just incredibly dense.
Exactly. So we're zooming way in. We've got a stack of astrological data from Astrology of the Day, and we're combining it with this really beautiful, kind of haunting piece of modern myth called StoryScope, The Heart of the Sunboat,
Both by Tarot by High C.
and the mission today. It's really to decode that hidden space, that gap between who you act like, your public persona and who you actually are when nobody's watching.
Because according to these sources, that gap is about to close
Mm.
rapidly and maybe a little loudly.
Yeah, loudly feels right. The whole theme here is this tension between performing for others versus, living authentically. And look, I know that sounds like a bumper sticker, live authentically. But when you really look at the planetary alignments, it's not a suggestion. It feels more like a demand.
It is a demand. The universe is essentially creating a pressure cooker that's just designed to crack that shell of performance.
Okay, so let's set the stage. The main event is the full moon in Leo. Now, even if you don't really follow astrology, you probably know Leo. It's the lion, the king, the stage lights, the drama. Usually, a Leo full moon is a party, right? It's time to be seen.
Usually, yes. But the source material is very, very specific here. This isn't that sunny, happy side of Leo. This is a deep dive into the shadow of Leo.
The shadow side. Okay, unpack that for us.
Well, think about the difference between someone who is genuinely confident, they walk into a room and they just are, versus someone who walks into a room and immediately starts performing because they're terrified of being ignored.
Oh, I know that energy. The look at me, please, tell me I'm good energy.
That's the one. The source says this full moon shines a spotlight specifically on where performance has replaced genuine confidence. It's asking us to audit our lives for these validation-seeking behaviors. Are we doing something because it truly lights us up, or because we need the applause to feel like we exist?
That's a heavy question for a Sunday. It's the difference between doing the work and just doing the PR for the work.
Precisely. And the source calls for emotional honesty without drama, which is the great irony, because Leo loves drama. But here, the drama is actually seen as a distraction. It's the smoke and mirrors we use to hide that we might be, unhappy or unfulfilled or just tired.
And speaking of mirrors, this is where that StoryScope piece comes in. It really visualizes what this abstract energy feels like. It starts with Ra, the Egyptian sun god, sailing his boat.
And on the surface, everything is perfect. The source describes the prayers as flawless. The hymns are beautiful. The rituals are perfect. I mean, by all metrics, humanity's doing a great job.
But Ra stops the boat. He feels a fracture in the world's rhythm. I love that phrase. It's not that things got quiet, it's that the vibe was off.
It's like being at a party where everyone is smiling and saying all the right things, but there is zero warmth in the room. Ra asks Thoth, why does my light no longer warm them? And Thoth's answer is basically the diagnosis for all of us right now.
Thoth says, because they have learned how to speak, but not how to say what is real.
Their voices are skilled, but their hearts are silent. And that's it. That's the core of the issue. We've all become experts at the mechanics of connection. We know how to network, how to post, but the actual substance, the heart energy, is missing.
The source says the temples have become theaters. That hit me hard. And then Ra looks down and he sees the city of mirrors.
This is the central metaphor, absolutely.
Describe this for us because it's such a powerful visual.
So, Ra sees this woman in a city made of reflective surfaces, and she's surrounded by all these versions of herself. There's the dutiful one, the charming one, the successful one. But the woman herself, her actual self, is standing behind the glass, totally unseen.
And exhausted.
Completely drained. She tells Ra, I don't know which of me is real anymore. I've become very good at being what others need.
I think everyone listening just felt a little pang in their chest with that one. It's that fatigue, right, of constantly curating yourself for every room you walk into.
It's a survival mechanism, or at least it starts that way. But the astrology for this weekend is basically saying that mechanism is about to break.
Right, because we're not just dealing with the story, we're dealing with oppositions. The source lists 4 major planetary oppositions all happening at the same time.
And we should probably explain what an opposition actually is. In astrology, it's a tension point. Imagine a tug of war. You have the moon, your gut, your feelings on one side, And 180 degrees away, you have another planet pulling in the complete opposite direction.
So it's a standoff,
Yeah.
a cosmic standoff.
It is. It's a conflict that demands to be resolved. And usually, you might deal with one of these. This Sunday, we've got 4. It's a 4-front war on that city of mirrors.
Okay, let's break these down. This is where it gets real. First up, Mercury opposite the moon. Mercury is communication, logic.
Correct. Mercury is the brain, the data. The moon is pure emotion. When they oppose each other, the filter between your brain and your mouth just disintegrates. The source calls it freedom of speech. But that sounds a little too polite.
So if you've been biting your tongue about something, Mercury is basically going to pry your mouth open for you.
That's a good way to put it. The source warns that words carry major weight. This isn't just casual chat. This is the conversation you've been avoiding for months suddenly happening over coffee.
The we need to talk moment.
Exactly. And because the moon's involved, it's going to be messy, emotional, not some cold, rational debate.
Okay, next tug of war. Venus opposite the moon. Venus is love, money, self-worth.
Right, so this brings up relationship and financial freedoms. This opposition goes right to the core of your self-worth. It forces you to look at your connections and ask, am I actually being valued here? Or am I just playing a role?
It's the trophy syndrome.
Hmm.
Am I here because you love me or because I just, look good on your arm?
Yeah.
Or your payroll?
It creates this deep dissatisfaction with any kind of superficial harmony. Sometimes we stay in situations because they're nice or safe, even if they're totally empty. Venus opposite the moon makes empty feel just intolerable.
Then we have Mars. Mars opposite the moon. Mars is the god of war. This one sounds volatile.
It is. This is freedom of action. And yes, it is the most volatile of the bunch. Mars is impulse, aggression, drive. When it pulls against the moon, it comes out as raw impatience.
The short fuse.
The shortest. The source says this reveals underlying resentment. So if you've been playing the good soldier, doing what you're told, suppressing your anger to be a team player, Mars is going to light a match under all of that.
It's the moment the nice act drops and you realize you're actually furious.
Correct. It's reactive. That heat of the moment energy where you might slam a door, quit a job, send an email you really can't unsend. But the source argues it's not random anger. It's the truth of your frustration finally boiling over.
And finally, the big boss. Pluto opposite the moon. Pluto is intense.
Pluto is transformation, power, the subconscious. This is the deepest cut. The source calls this freedom to protest. But it's not political protest. It's a protest against your own internal programming.
Wow, so this is deep psychological stuff.
It's all about exposing power dynamics, where you're being controlled or where you're trying to control others out of fear. Pluto digs up everything we hide in the basement. It asks, why are you really doing this? Who's pulling your strings?
So let's just recap the Sunday forecast. Mercury's making you say the quiet part out loud. Venus is making you question if you're even valued. Mars is making you angry about it all. And Pluto's revealing the deep, dark reasons you got here in the first place.
It sounds chaotic, I know. But if we go back to the story, back to the City of Mirrors, all this chaos has a purpose.
It's the rock being thrown through the glass.
Exactly. You can't dismantle a lifetime of performance with a gentle nudge. The universe is using these oppositions as a battering ram to shatter the mirrors. We're being forced to stop looking at the reflections and start looking at the source.
So let's go back to the story. The mirrors are cracking. Ra comes down to the woman. Now, usually when a god comes down in these myths, someone's in trouble. There's lightning, there's judgment.
But not here, and that's the beauty of this text. Ra descends not as a judge, but as warmth. He doesn't scold her for being fake. He just asks her why she's sad.
And when she admits she's lost, that she doesn't know who she is, Ra tells her, then you have arrived at the doorway of power. I mean, that is such a massive reframe. We usually think confusion is failure.
We think confusion is the end of the road. Ra is saying it's the beginning. It's the moment you stop running on autopilot. He puts his hand on her chest, and the mirrors just shatter. And he tells her, this is your son. You buried it beneath approval, but it never left you.
You buried it beneath approval. Wow. That line is going to stick with me.
It implies that authenticity isn't something you have to go out and find. It's something you have to excavate. It's already there. It's just covered in layers of people-pleasing.
But the story doesn't end there. There's a villain. And I think this villain is the most interesting part of this whole deep dive. Meet Apep.
The great serpent of the duat. In the old myths, Apep just tries to swallow the sun every night. But in this StoryScope, the author gives him this brilliant psychological motivation. Ape feeds on fear, performance, and unspoken desire.
He literally eats our fakeness.
He gets fat on it. He thrives when we suppress our truth. There's this chilling line where he tells Ra, "They will return to me. They crave validation. They fear honesty."
He's betting against us. He's
Yeah.
betting that we're so addicted to being liked that we'll voluntarily walk back into the dark just to feel safe again.
He is. He's betting that the discomfort of vulnerability is just too high a price for most of us. And let's be honest, he's often right. We do choose comfortable lies over difficult truths.
So how do you beat him? Because Ra doesn't pull out a sword. There's no laser beam.
No violence at all. Ra simply opens his chest, he releases his heart light, and the source is so specific about this light. It says it's raw, unpolished, and unperformative.
Unpolished. That's the key, right? It's not the Instagram filter version of light. It's the messy, real stuff.
It's the light of "this is who I am, take it or leave it," and the serpent just recoils. The source explains that darkness can't feed on light that isn't trying to impress anyone. Ape literally starves when we start performing.
That is such a powerful mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way to defeat that feeling of being controlled, that Pluto-Mars tension, is to stop trying to manage everyone's perception of you.
Precisely. You lead by example. And the astrology advice mirrors this perfectly. It says to help others by demonstrating what it means to connect with your true self. You don't fight the snake, you just stop feeding it.
Okay, so we've survived the oppositions, we've starved the snake. What happens on the other side? The source mentions a trine involving Lilith and Chiron. A trine sounds a lot friendlier than opposition.
It is much friendlier. A trine is a flow of energy, a supportive angle. And here we have Lilith, who represents this raw, wild independence, and Chiron, the wounded healer.
The wounded healer.
Chiron represents the wisdom we gain from our deepest hurts. So when these two form a trine to the sun and moon, they're like a support system. They give us the strength to own our desires without shame, guilt, or self-editing.
So if the oppositions are the kick out the door, the trine is kind of like the safety net that catches you.
In a way, yeah. It's like the cosmic permission slip that says, it is actually okay to want what you want. The healing comes from choosing courage over approval.
However, there is a warning. And I laughed when I read this part because it's just so relatable.
The grumpy and pouty clause.
Yes. The source warns that if you ignore all this energy, if you just grit your teeth and keep the mask on this weekend, you're not just going to be tired. You're going to be extra grumpy and pouty.
It sounds trivial, but it's really accurate. Think of it like a pressure valve. If you don't let the steam out through honest communication, that's the high road, it's just going to leak out as irritability and sulking. That's the low road.
The adult tantrum.
Exactly. The energy has to go somewhere. You can use it to have a breakthrough, or you can use it to be miserable to everyone around you. The choice is yours.
So don't be pouty, be real. The deep dive wraps with this really practical tool, a new filter for making decisions. A question to ask yourself.
Does this feed my light or my mask?
I love that. Does this feed my light or my mask? So simple. It's binary.
It cuts through all the noise, and it totally changes the definition of success. In the story, Ray emphasizes that the sun isn't just a rock in space. It's something that lives inside of us when we start performing.
So it's not about reaching up to the sky. It's about peeling back the layers until you find that glowing bit in the middle.
That is a very specific image, but yes, that's it.
So Sunday, February 1st. Let's bring this home for everyone listening. This is a day for emotional release. A day where the city of mirrors is probably going to take a hit.
It's a day to let the silence be awkward if it needs to be. It's a day to say the thing you've been scared to say. That freedom of speech aspect pretty much demands it.
And look, we're not saying go burn your life down. Please don't go fire your boss or break up with your partner just because Mars is in the sky.
No, absolutely not. The goal isn't chaos. The goal is alignment. The source says what we acknowledge now can shift our relationships, our creative direction, our whole sense of self-worth. It's just about making sure the life you're living on the outside matches the one you're living on the inside.
A system recalibration.
A necessary one.
Before we sign off, I just want to leave everyone with the final decree from Ra in the story. I think this sums up the mission of this whole deep dive better than we ever could.
It's a beautiful passage, Ra says. What you love is sacred. What you desire is a map. What you feel is not weakness. It is the compass of the divine.
What you desire is a map. We're taught so often that desire is selfish or it's a distraction. This says it's actually the GPS.
It implies that your specific wants, the things that really truly light you up, are not random. They are the coordinates for where you're supposed to be.
So here's a provocative thought to carry into the weekend. A little homework from the cosmos. The source talks about the exhaustion of wearing the mask. So ask yourself this. If you stop performing for everyone in your life right now, if you just stop being the dutiful one, the funny one, the successful one, whatever your mask is, who would be the first person to notice the difference?
And the follow-up question, if you did stop, would they be disappointed? Or would they be relieved to finally meet you?
That's the scary question. But maybe it's the only one that really matters this Sunday. Thanks for diving in with us.
Take care, everyone.
We'll see you on the other side of the moon.